Welcome everybody to CanHammer, your source for 40k from the Great White North. Today we have read along for Codex Deathwatch. Welcome back everybody to CanHammer, your source for 40k from the Great White North. Today I'm very excited to read the Codex Deathwatch. Deathwatch came out with big fanfare in 7th and really did suck. The rules in 7th were just too convoluted to allow for mixed units. There was just so many issues with it and it just fell flat. And until recently, Index Deathwatch was just no good. So here we have the Codex Deathwatch, and from what I can see, it's pretty compelling. So we're going to see if this is really the savior of Primary Space Marines. So let's crack it open and have a look. Cool picture right up here. Against the Eldar. Of course, Deathwatch are the branch of the Inquisition that is devoted to killing Xenos. So you're going to see all these pictures here. Deathwatch versus Xenos. There's the Avatar versus some Deathwatch. Pretty cool. Deathwatch, of course, is the all-stars of the Imperium. So every Space Marine chapter sends its best people to be on the Deathwatch. And the right shoulder is whatever chapter they come from, and the left shoulder is the Deathwatch shoulder. And of course, you see the iconography of the Inquisition all over it, the Ordos Xenos. So here they're fighting the Necrons here. Pretty cool. We won't go over all the fluff, but that just gives you a bit of the background of what the Deathwatch is about. So we're going to skip through. And so the codex and the way that it, we'll see how thematic it stays to that concept that they're the all-stars and that everybody sends a little bit to the Deathwatch to make it good. So let's see how that goes. So Knights of the Long Vigil. So first of all, they get They Shall Know No Fear like all Space Marines. Then this is really what makes Deathwatch good. Special issue ammunition. So when you fire ranged weapons from this list, and it's basically every single weapon that has the word bolter in it. So everything from the normal bolt gun, bolt pistol, bolt carbines, auto bolt rifles, heavy bolt pistols, extremists, master crafted stuff, stalker pattern bolt rifles, twin bolt guns, and storm bolters can have special issue ammunition. This excludes the bolt storm weapons that aggressors have and the assault bolters that inceptors have. So those are excluded. And also excludes like heavy bolters and stuff like that. Just basic bolter weapons. It does include the bolt guns that the intercessors have. They can combat squad as usual, and here's what the special ammunition does. So if you pick Dragonfire Bolt, add 1 to your hit rolls when targeting a unit in cover. Hellfire rounds, that's probably the least likely one that's going to be used, to be honest. Hellfire rounds always wounds on 2+, except against vehicles and Titanic. That can be very useful. Add 3 inches to the range of this weapon if it's a pistol, or 6 inches otherwise, and improve the AP by 1 to a maximum of AP 2. Pretty nice to have AP 2 bolter weapons. And vengeance rounds is you make it shorter, 3-inch shorter, or 6-inch shorter if it's not a pistol, and you improve the AP by 2 to a maximum of -3. So there you get some pretty -3 AP bolt shots, which is pretty sweet. So you can see how this starts to become an issue with some massed bolter fire. Of course, they're Space Marines, so they can take all the usual Space Marine weapons, and they have a few of their own that are special to them, such as the where is it? Deathwatch shotgun, the Infernus Xenophase blade, and then they have where's the heavy weapons? Anyway, we'll come to it. frag cannon. There we go. Deathwatch frag cannon and the Infernus heavy bolter. We'll have a look at those in a second. All right, so the Watchmaster is basically like a little mini Custodes shield captain. So he moves 6, 2+2+, strength 4, only toughness 4. So he's still a Marine, but has 6 wounds and 4 attacks, 9 leadership, and a 2+ save. He has a 4+ invuln as well. So he's like a little mini Custodes shield captain. Not quite. He does have a Guardian Spear, just like the Custodes do. Same thing. So it's a strength 4 -1, 2 damage, but it's not strength. It's not strength 6, strength +2, strength +1 like on the Custodes. So it's a little bit weaker. And no, that's the shooting. Sorry, no, the melee it's strength 5 -3 D3 because it's not strength 6 because he's only strength 4. So it's the same profile as the Custodian Spears. And he, of course, can use special ammunition, and he gives everyone rerolled all failed hit rolls. So he's like your chapter master. So that's your kind of basic HQ I'm going to get. Your watch captain, we'll skip over here for a second, is basically like your watch master, except he doesn't get the Guardian Blade. And he can take bolters and stuff like that. He can take a jump pack, and he only gives you a reroll of 1s instead of reroll all hit rolls. Watch Captain Artemis is a special character in the Deathwatch, and he basically is a slightly not as good Watchmaster. So he has only 5 wounds and a 3+ save, but he has the Hellfire Extremis, which is basically a flamer, a combi flamer, and a bolt gun, and automatically wounds on 2 up, which is pretty sweet. And then he has this Stasis Bomb, which you can throw once per battle and deal d6 wounds, but if you miss, then you take d6 wounds and you might well die. So maybe that's not a very safe weapon to use. And he gives reroll hit rolls of 1, so it's just captain level. And he has a 6+ Funeral Pain. Not too bad. I'd probably just stick to a normal captain or a Watchmaster. You can take the Captain and Terminator armor, and you can take a Primaris Watch Captain. And then you can take a Librarian or a Primaris Librarian or a Librarian in Terminator armor. So pretty similar, and they know the Librarius discipline, like Space Marines. Then you can take a Chaplain, Chaplain in Terminator armor, Primaris Chaplain. And then here is the meat and potatoes. So the normal size Space Marines in the Deathwatch are called veterans. So here they are, and they are just normal Space Marine stats, except they rock 2 attacks each. And then you can have Watch Sergeant, Black Shields, which have 3 attacks. Terminators, you can have a Biker or a Vanguard Veteran in there, which comes with the jump pack, I believe. Yeah, so this gets a little bit complicated, but basically you can make a unit of 5 veterans. One of them can be a Watch Sergeant, a Black Shield can be one of them, and it can include up to 10 models in total, including Terminators, Bikers, and Vanguard Vets in any combination. And everyone's equipped with a bolt gun, except the Terminators armed with a Storm Bolter and a Power Fist, Vanguard Vets armed with a bolt pistol, and the Bikers armed, of course, with the bike with the twin bolt gun. Everyone can replace any veteran, Watch Sergeant, or Black Shield can replace with Deathwatch equipment. 4 veterans can take a heavy weapon. Any veteran can take a heavy thunder hammer. Watch Sergeant can take a combat shield, and the list goes on. So there's lots of things you can change. 3 Terminators can take Terminator heavy weapons. Terminators can replace their Power Fists with melee weapons. Anybody can take a Storm Bolter. The list goes on. So there's a lot of ways that you can configure your veterans. And it can get pretty expensive. So what's interesting is, so they all have special ammunition, and if it's a mixed unit with mixed toughness, you pick the majority. Really, it's just the Bikers that have toughness 5. And then when you have to figure out what models a vehicle can transport, Terminators are of course Terminator, Bikers do not, they got infantry and jump packs, blah blah blah. Combat shields, 5 up save, storm shield, the usual stuff. This unit, Terminators give the unit auto pass morale. Bikers give them fallback and charge. Black Shields give them the ability to perform heroic intervention. The Vanguard Vets or somebody with a jump pack gives them the ability to fall back and shoot. So you mix and match these different types of veterans in, and it gives your whole unit the advantage of that kind of veteran. So it's pretty cool, very thematic, quite like it. So it's a matter of finding the right combination where you can make a unit do different things depending on what you put in it. And then it has a teleport homer, of course, which allows you to deep strike close to the person with the homer. And then on the other side of that is the Intercessors squad. So the Intercessors are, of course, the Primaris versions, and in the Intercessors you can have a Hellblaster, an Inceptor, a Reaver, or an Aggressor, and in the same way you can mix and match whatever you like. The standard weapon for an Intercessor is the Bolt Rifle, which of course is 30-inch range, rapid fire, 4-1/1. So you can see if you take the ammunitions, you can turn that into a 36-inch range, strength 4-2/1, which is pretty sweet, or rapid fire, or you can turn that into a 24-inch range, just like a normal bolt gun, strength 4-3/1 damage. So, and you can swap depending on how you shoot. So it's very flexible. It allows you added range or shorter range, less stopping power, or more stopping power. So yeah, you can replace the bolt rifle with the Stalker bolt rifle as well, or the auto bolt rifle. Let's see. So the Hellblasters, yeah, so you can kit them out like any of the normal Primaris Marines, and of course, again, mixed unit. Yeah, so the Inceptor gives the unit the ability to fall back and shoot. If you have a Reaver, you subtract 1 from the leadership of enemy models within 3 inches. If you have an Aggressor, you can fire twice with the Aggressor, but it gives your whole unit the ability to move and not suffer for firing assault weapons or heavy weapons. So it's pretty sweet. So you just I think probably the best way to run these guys is with volume of fire from bolters, from the Intercessors with the ammunition, and put an Inceptor in there for fallback and shoot, and maybe an Aggressor, but you probably don't need that anymore if you don't have any assault weapons. And then the Inceptor just runs the assault bolter, so it's a pretty sweet combination, I think. Then you can run an Apothecary, a Dreadnought, Redemptor. These are all the same as the Space Marine Codex. Terminators, Reavers, pretty much the same. Aggressors, Vanguard Vets, Bikers. So it's just a matter of putting them together and using the special ammunition. Inceptors, Hellblasters, Land Raider. None of these are any different. All the usual stuff. So let's talk about the Corvus Black Star. So this is a flyer, can move 45 inches. It's toughness 7. 14 wounds with the 3+ save, pretty sweet. It's kind of like a Storm Raven, basically. And it is equipped with a twin assault cannon and 2 Storm Strike missiles. And of course, Storm Strike missiles are heavy 1, strength 8, -3, straight up 3 damage, so not too bad. And you can replace the assault cannon with las cannons, and you can replace the missile launchers with Black Star rocket launchers, which are slightly weaker but target fly units. And you can add a Hurricane Bolter or an Infernum Halo launcher or an off-specs array. So this thing can hover. It is hard to hit. It goes supersonic. The Black Star cluster launcher basically allows it. Where's the Black Star cluster launcher? Okay, so this is its bomb, basically. Roll up to 10d6, and every time you roll a 6, it's a mortal wound. So it's not that great a bomb. It's only on 6s. Auspex roll allows you to re-roll hit rolls of 1 for a model shooting that has fly or that cannot fly. And Infernum Halo is re-roll save rolls of 1 if it's equipped with the Infernum Halo launcher and has the supersonic ability. Yeah, so when it's not hovering, you can re-roll your save rolls of 1. It can transport 12 Deathwatch infantry or half the number of Terminators, and it can carry Bikers, which take up 3 models, just like the old Corvus Black Star. It cannot transport Primaris models. GW! The whole point of this was to give Deathwatch Primaris models, and its only good flying transport cannot take them. So frustrating. Alright, let's just have a look at the Stalker pattern bolt rifle. I just wanted to look at that. Stalker pattern bolt rifle was heavy 2, 30-inch, 4 -1, 1. So if you slap an aggressor in your unit now and you run all your dudes with Stalker pattern bolt guns, now you're rocking twice the number of shots without having to depend on rapid fire. Pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. Just of note, so the Xenophase blade actually is a strength. It's a power sword, but you force your opponent to reroll successful invuln saves. That's pretty cool. And the heavy Thunderhammer is strength times 2 -3 d6 damage instead of straight 3, which I'm not sure if it's any better. Still -1 to hit. And if you make a wound roll 6 though, the hit is resolved with the damage of straight 6. So there's a little bit of benefit there. That's probably the single strongest infantry wielded melee weapon if you roll that 6, which is pretty crazy. Alright, let's look at this. So, as with all Space Marines, Deathwatch abilities only apply to infantry, bikers, and dreadnoughts. They get OBSEC for their troops. And mission tactics. So units with this ability gain a bonus during the battle depending on which mission tactics they are currently employing. You pick one before the battle begins for the whole battle. There are ways for you to change the mission tactic. So the mission tactic basically just gives you reroll wound rolls of 1 against troops, fast attack, elites, heavy support, HQs, and flyers. So depending on what you're playing against, you can give yourself a slight advantage here with reroll wound rolls of 1 army wide without having to be in an aura or anything, which is pretty sweet for free. It's pretty sweet. Not a lot of things give Space Marines reroll wounds of 1. Gilliman, the Wolfguard battle leader, and a lieutenant. That's it. So let's look at the stratagems. Okay, Armor of Contempt is the 5-up Feel No Pain for vehicles, same as Space Marines. I won't go through the ones that are same as Space Marines. So Auspex Span, Armor of Contempt, the Relic one, Hellfire Shells, Orbital Bombardment, Empiric Channeling, the Teleportarium, which is the Deep Strike. The thing about the Teleportarium for Deathwatch is it works on dreadnoughts, and it can do up to 3 units. So you can spend 1 to 3 CP for 1 to 3 units. So that's pretty sweet, but it works on dreadnoughts too. Death to the Alien, every time you choose in a fight phase. So this is like exploding 6s, but only if it's against Xenos. So no Imperium, Chaos, or unaligned keyword. Only death is duty ends, same as Space Marines. Honor your brothers is the fight second time, same as Space Marines. Wisdom of the Ancients is reroll hit rolls in your within 6 inches of a dreadnought, same as Space Marines. Flak Missile. Adaptive Tactics. Use this stratagem at the start of your turn to change your mission tactic for another one. If your Warlord is a Watchmaster, you can use it for 1 CP instead of 2. So here's the thing that lets you change your tactics when you need it. Alright, now these are specific stratagems against specific Xenos races, and I love these. 2 CP, Stem the Green Tide. Use it before firing Overwatch against an Orc unit. Opponent subtracts 1 from their charge for each model that was slain by your unit's Overwatch. That's pretty funny and sweet. 1 CP, targeting Scramblers against Tau. Immediately after a Deathwatch unit has been hit by 1 or more Markalites, immediately remove all Markalites from that unit. Fuck you, Tau. That's basically what that is. Intercepting Volley for 2 CP. Immediately after your opponent moves an enemy Eldari unit that can fly, which is almost all Eldar, pick a Deathwatch unit from your army within 12 inches of it, and that unit can immediately shoot at the enemy unit as if it was your shooting phase, but subtract 1. Aggressors. Boom. Very nice. Synaptic Severance, 2 CP. Used against in your Deathwatch unit from your army in the shooting phase, you can target a synapse creature even if they're not the closest enemy unit. Nice. And against the Necrons, we have Overkill, 1 CP. Use the strategy at the beginning of your opponent's turn before they reanimate. They have to subtract 1 from any reanimation protocols they make for that unit. Boom. Very nice. So reanimating on a 6, 5 or 6, depending on if they're near a cryptic. Furor Doctrine. Use the strategy just before a... so these doctrines now give you a +1 to wound against the various battlefield roles. So +1 to wound against troops, fast attack, elites, heavy support, HQs, and flyers for 2 CP a shot. So it gets a little bit expensive to do that too often, but you've got a +1 wound and then a reroll 1s to wound. Pretty sweet. Optimized Salvo. Use the stratagem in your shooting phase before choosing targets for a Deathwatch unit with special issue ammunition. Different models can use different ammunitions. Select which models use what. So there you go. Pretty sweet. I think you have to use the same ammunition for everybody in the unit. Normally, can't remember seeing that. Choose one kind of ammunition, yeah, for the whole unit. So this lets you choose different ones for 1 CP. Clavis. Use this stratagem in your fight phase. Select an enemy vehicle within 1 inch of a Watchmaster. On a 2+ suffers D3 mortal wounds. Okay, so that's an ability your Watchmaster gets to do mortal wounds on a tank. Decapitation Doctrine. Use this stratagem before Deathwatch from your army attacks in the shooting or fight phase. Reroll failed wound rolls for attacks made by that unit that target the enemy warlord. Okay, so 2 CP to really kill the warlord. Tactical Flexibility is combat squatting. Tempest Shells is use this stratagem just before a Deathwatch infantry model attacks a vehicle with a weapon that can fire special issue ammunition. You only make a single hit roll with the weapon this phase. However, if it hits the target, suffers D3 mortal wounds. Interesting. So that's like flak missile before bolt, normal, just bolt weapons. That's pretty sweet. Okay. So those stratagems are pretty straightforward. There's a whole batch that target particular battlefield roles. There's one good stratagem for each Xenos race, and then there's a bunch of Space Marine ones, including letting your bolters do D3 mortals, which is pretty nice. So pretty easy to keep track of if you're a Space Marine player. So Warlord traits, reroll failed wound rolls when attacking vehicles or monsters. This is your CP regen, Lord of Hidden Knowledge. You get the free reroll. And on a 5-up, every time you use a stratagem, you gain 1 command point. So not quite as good as Grand Strategist. Castle into Black Vault, added damage to 1 weapon carried by your warlord. Well, imagine that's like a 7 damage thunder, a heavy thunder hammer. That's crazy. Watch your turn or roll a d6 each time a Deathwatch model from your army within 6 inches of your warlord lose their last wound. That's a 6-up funeral pain. Vigilance is change the mission tactic at the start of your turn once a battle, and nowhere to hide is ignore cover. Not that great. So the relics, Bane Bolts of Erixia, models with special issue ammunition. Add 1 to the damage of any special issue ammunition. Each wound roll of 6+ suffers a mortal wound. That's pretty nice. So your special ammunition could be -2 or -3, doing 2 damage apiece. With mortal wounds on 6s, that's nice. Beacon Angelus. The bearer of the beacon at the once per battle can teleport a friendly unit to his position. Select a Deathwatch infantry or biker unit that's either on the battlefield or that is in a teleportarium. Remove this unit and set it up wholly within 6 inches of the bearer, 9 inches from any enemy. Okay, so that's like a warp. Pretty cool. Dominus. Models with Storm Shield only. The 3+ invuln does not move in your movement phase, then that extends that invuln to every unit models within 6 inches with a 5+ invuln. That's nice. Osseous Key. Watchmasters only. Enemy vehicles subtract 1 from the hit rolls while within 9 inches of this model. And you make an additional attack with the key against enemy vehicles. That does D3 mortal wounds. Pretty sweet. Thief of Secrets replaces a power sword. Basically, it's a 2 damage power sword. When you set him up, pick one of the following keywords: Orc, Tyranid, Tau, Eldar, or Necrons. Reroll failed wound rolls when attacking. That's okay, but, you know, like, if you play Deathwatch, you're not just going to play Xenos. So, the Tome of Ectoclades. At the start of each your turn, pick a mission tactic. Until the start of your next turn, you can choose to apply either the mission tactic that's active or the one you've chosen for the tome. So it gives you some flexibility there. Librarius is the same as Space Marines Librarius, and that is it. Points. Okay. So let's see. I believe. So the Watch Captain is 74. Watch Master 130. So the Watch Master is 20 points cheaper than a captain on a Dawn Eagle jet bike, but much less fast. And yeah, Artemis is 130. So I believe that your veterans are basically pretty similar in cost. They're as Vanguard vets, yeah, 16, and your intercessors are the same price, so 18. Aggressors are still 21. Hellblasters are 18. Inceptors. So the actual models have not increased in price, which is crazy. So you're basically getting the value of the special ammunition and the ability to mix units and all the extra abilities that they bring to each other for free, which is pretty sweet. What's interesting is you can still bring like full units of aggressors if you want, although there's no real advantage to doing that, but they do get the reroll wounds of 1 and the all those other abilities, but it's the same price to just mix them into other units, so that's very interesting. Yep, bikes, here's Inceptors, same price, Hellblasters, all the things are the same price. Corvus Black Stars 150. And then you add stuff on it. Let's see. So twin assault cannon, of course, is 44. So that takes it up to 194. And then you put what was the other thing on it? Oh yeah, Black Star rocket launcher is 15. So yeah. So this thing becomes a little bit expensive. Might still be worth it and have to work it out, but Heavy Thunder Hammer is 30 points. Xenophage Blade is only 7 points. Interesting. Okay, otherwise the rest of the weapon costs are pretty much the same as Space Marines. And that's it. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I like the feel of this codex. It does give you the sort of mix and match elite feel of Deathwatch. I think this makes an army of Deathwatch with a couple of flyers and primarily intercessors mixed in with an interceptor and maybe an aggressor here or there, doing -2, -3 bolt shots at range. I think that's pretty interesting with reroll wounds, reroll 1s to wound, +1 to wound, lots of cool stratagems. And your intercessors, of course, are troops and ops that can give you all the CP. So I think this definitely has something in it that people can mix into their Imperium soup. So let's see, 18 points for an intercessor. Unit of 10 of those takes you up to 180, and then add in some special weapons or so. So 200 points, maybe splashing in an Inceptor there. So just over 200 points. We're talking of a 10-man unit of hard to kill, especially in cover, Primaris Marines doing a lot of high AP volume of fire. So that's pretty sweet. I think I'm gonna have to get myself some Deathwatch. The alternative is, of course, is just to paint some black and change the shoulder pad. But I think I'll get myself some Deathwatch Primaris intercessors, since I don't have any intercessors. So hope you guys enjoyed that read along, and do consider liking the video, clicking on the subscribe button there, and consider supporting us on Patreon. And thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next time.